So let us start our topic today with the movement in countryside. It means non-cooperation movement in rural areas. Under it we will discuss two topics: the movement of peasants in Awadh, and we will discuss about the tribal movement in Gudem Hills of Andhra Pradesh. The peasants movement in Awadh was started by Baba Ramchand. Now, who was Baba Ramchand? He was an indentured laborer. Indentured means contract laborer, who had been to Fiji as contract laborer, and he returned back to India. He became a sannyasi and he led the peasants movement in Awadh. Now, what were the problems of peasants in Awadh? They were forced to do beggar. Specifically, this movement was against talukdars and jamindars. So, the movement of peasants was against talukdars and jamindars, and they were convinced by Gandhiji and other leaders to participate in the non-cooperation movement. What were their problems? They had to do beggar in the lands of jamindars or talukdars. They did not have right over the land. There was no security of the tenure of the land. So these were their problems. Now, what were their demands? They demanded reduction of revenue, abolition of beggar, and boycott of oppressive landlords. So these were the demands of peasants, and their movement was led by Baba Ramchand. They started Nai Dhobi Bandh. Nai Dhobi means not to give the services of washerman and barber to the oppressive landlords or talukdars. It was an insult for the talukdars and jamindars, because during that period particular caste groups were following particular occupation. So the barbers and the washermen were not to give their services to the oppressive landlords. So this was how they demanded. So they wanted to boycott the oppressive landlords through Nai Dhobi Bandh. It was in June 1920, Pandit Nehru went to Awadh to hear the grievances of the peasants. In October 1920, Kisan Sabhas were organized. Farmer Sabhas or farmers associations and assemblies were organized. In 1921, the peasants, they attacked talukdars and merchants. They looted the bazaars and they took over the hoarded grains. And Congress was unhappy with the way the movement went, because it wanted both the support of talukdars as well as the peasants for non-cooperation movement. And some of the leaders took the name of Gandhiji, invoked the name of Gandhiji, and they told no taxes were to be paid, land were to be redistributed among the poor farmers. So the name of Mahatma, so they took, and to justify their actions. So this was about peasants movement, how it was going on, and under what conditions the peasants participated in non-cooperation movement. The next topic we are going to discuss is the tribal movement in the Gudem Hills of Andhra Pradesh. It was in 1920s, a guerrilla movement continued in the Gudem Hills of Andhra Pradesh, and it was against the British. As the peasants movement was against the talukdars, so this tribal movement was against the British. Now, why the tribal people went against British, that we will discuss. Government closed the forest regions. You have discussed in class 9 that the forest areas were so closed for the tribal people, for the village people, by passing various forest acts. And so now the people could not go to this forest to graze their animals, neither they could go for collecting fruits or vegetables, nor they could go for collecting the fuel wood. So they were forced to do beggar. British were doing various works like in building of roads, in construction of government buildings, in building of railways also. They were forcing the tribal people to do beggar. So that was another reason for revolt of the tribals. And there was a young and dynamic leader of the tribals. His name was Alluri Sitaram Raju. Remember the name? Alluri Sitaram Raju was a young tribal leader who inspired people to fight against the British. He told that he had a variety of special powers. He was having such special powers that even the bullet could not hit him. So the tribal people, the rural people were innocent people, and they believed in the magical superpowers of Alluri Sitaram Raju, and they came forward to fight against the mighty British Empire. And Alluri Sitaram Raju was highly influenced by Gandhiji, and specifically he was influenced by Gandhiji's idea of using khadi and Gandhiji's idea of give up drinking habits of the tribals. But he was not convinced by Gandhiji's idea of non-violence. He told India could be liberated only by using violence. So under his leadership, the Gudem rebels, they attacked police stations, they attempted to kill the British officials, they just continued their guerrilla warfare. But finally it was in 1924, Raju was captured and he was executed. So this was about the guerrilla movement in the Gudem Hills of Andhra Pradesh, how the tribals also participated in the non-cooperation movement.